One day before the midterm elections, and one that has a tremendous impact on the economy. So what's really going on with the stock market down 10%? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome to the Wealth Transfer. My name is Terry Saka. This is one day before the midterm elections, which is huge. Now, granted, politics aside, I don't really care for either of them, Democrat or Republic, but I do care about the economy. I care about we, the people in the kingdom, and we, the people in this country, that we are looked after first. And I do believe this election has tremendous consequences to all the changes we are taking, or that is taking place here, to the economy. So keep that in perspective. Before I get going, I do want to tell you, visit us at cornerstoneassetmetals.com for any past programmings, as well as wealthtransferministries.org for programming. You could go to Cornerstone Asset Metals YouTube page, and there you can also subscribe and get the weekly program sent to you as well. I'd also like to mention visiting us at Terry Saka AAMS on Twitter. Twitter's more political, I understand, but Twitter, we don't really build a big following there because it is political, but it is where I'll put out links, articles, and really interesting insights you're not getting in mainstream news, so keep that in mind. And Instagram, visit us there. Cornerstone Mint is the handle at Instagram. Instagram's great with 1-minute educational videos as well as great graphics, so look forward to seeing you. But what I want to do is, we got into talking about obviously the economy, what was going on. We were showing the credit cycle and how it was coming to an end. We were also showing how smart money is making a move. We want to expand a little bit more on smart money. We want to expand a little bit more on what the let's just say the big house is doing. Being that I come from that background at A.G. Edwards, I did have a Series 7, 63.5, Series 3, which was in commodities. But in that financial advisory role, in the teaching and educating us at A.G. Edwards, they spent weeks doing it. They had 140 years experience learning psychology. And believe me, the finances, stock market is so much psychology, it's incredible. But they did teach us how the traders or the money managers sit and wait at the top of a cycle for mom and pop to be all in. Now, we did show just recently how Goldman Sachs, even Bank of America, had been signaling that money is all in the markets. There's really no cash on the sidelines. When that happens in this cycle, the traders and smart money typically sell into you, into we the people. So we think that this is a dip. The market is down 10% from the high for the year. It's a poor performing year. Silver and the other tangibles are doing a lot better from the bottom. So this is obvious time to switch and diversify out of one sector into another for sure. But the stock market's off 10%. So while the stock market's off 10%, what's coming out? And you'll see that it's components of smart money, meaning money managers, people with big, I just put it in perspective, billions. Because if you're looking at a trade and you're looking at a gate where we talked about with cattle, they can't sell out of a large position in one day because the price would move too quickly. So they have to do it incrementally. So smart money slowly, institutional money, slowly comes out of the marketplace. So we want to get into what is the impact, and is this something just a small correction, or is there a lot more to it? And I want to get into the details of this, because as we're going the night before the election, this is how important this is. So many changes have been made, but it was not going to stop what's coming. What's coming is dealing with global instability, global financial reset, dealing with the Italian bank crisis to the EU. Now we have Angela Merkel stepping down for Germany, which is really good because she was a globalist socialist order head. Good thing she's going away. We now have Bolsonaro, I believe his name is, down in Brazil. He would be the Trump of South America. He is going to light up the economy down there. That was a tremendous election. So, you know, as you're hearing about nationalism and how bad it is, stay focused, folks. Every country should be a nationalist, and they should love where they live, and they should look after their own people. We will never solve the world's poverty. One day I'll show the gumball video, but you will never solve the world's poverty. The people they're bringing over and allowing to come in this illegal alien caravan and the continued illegal alien intrusion into our country, and I say it that way because legal migration is excellent, because I know a lot of people who are legal migrants and they do not like the illegal status. If we think we're helping the people and being compassionate, for everyone we're helping, 6 to 10 more are being born into that poverty state around the world. So it's impossible to cure poverty. The argument's flawed. It really truly is about flooding this country to destroy its culture and to allow voters, basically, because 70% of illegal aliens end up on welfare. So it's about flooding the system with welfare recipients. It's about flooding the educational and the medical system. And all of a sudden, we're paying money to support these people who didn't even birthright-wise belong to the country in the first place. I'd say we should be taking care of those people here in our country. We have plenty of poor in our inner cities, Baltimore, Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit. We can go on and on. That's where we should be focusing our resources, not spending the billions and billions on illegals that come here just to get on welfare and then clog up the educational system. It's a matter of perspective. There's nothing wrong with those arguments, folks. And this election is going to have a tremendous impact economically. Because, and I'm not one to say, hey, you need to go left, you need to go right, because I think they both have flaws. I definitely know the socialist is the enemy of the people, though. And for those of you who are left-leaning, Democrat type of Christian, I only propose this. Socialism, which is what the Democrats have become, their job is to destroy God. Hollywood's job is to destroy God. They want an atheist culture. They want an anti-God culture. Heck, they barked and growled at the convention. So I'm just telling you, they are an anti-God party. So from that perspective, it does cause a problem for us Christians. But now it's becoming to the point where it wasn't just about the anti-God with the way they believe and the policies they want to put forward. It's economic. They want to raise taxes. They've said it clearly. If they get back in the House, they will raise taxes again. They want to destroy the president right now, regardless what you think of him personally. He has put policies to protect us in the kingdom. He has put tremendous economic policies together that are starting to allow us, we the people, to flourish. We are seeing entrepreneurialism in the African American community. We are seeing entrepreneurialism in the Hispanic, Latino community. This is the stuff I'm referring to as what we should be focusing on. This time, if anything, our culture a lot of times votes single issue, or we just don't vote at all. But folks, I'm going to leave off here, and then I'm going to get right into the data. But I do want to just say, this time around, I would be very cautious voting for a single issue and stay very focused on who cares about we the people, our manufacturing jobs, our income, and our future wealth. What policies are caring about making America great? There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. And for those that say something about that on the left, they're just downright communists, and they need to just sit down. Because America was always about that prosperity, even to the poorest person they have the opportunity. So I encourage you to go vote tomorrow, but this time around, think about who's voting to support the president right now in these policies that matter so much to our economy. Because in the end, folks, if the Democrats take control of the House, they will go after the president. They will shut down this agenda, and they will crush this economy because it cannot sustain what's coming, and we need that strength of policy to get through what's coming. So I encourage you to continue to focus on diversity. One of the best ways you can focus on diversity for those that have cash in the bank, money on the sidelines, are looking to start diversifying, call Cornerstone Asset Metals. There's people standing by right now for that phone call. Register for information, but here's a good place to get started.
Terrorism, a volatile stock market, rising food costs, natural disasters. Every day our economy is at risk, but your assets should not be. Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked so hard to gain. Whether you have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, our accredited asset management specialists are here to support you. Call now and we'll send you urgent information regarding changes to the dollar and challenges to our economy that you need to be prepared for. Learn how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA. We can even arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or send it directly to your home. Do not delay. Call 888-747-3309 or register online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com today. Invest in precious metals and create security in your future today. Call now.
Welcome back. So I want to get into data. Now here at Wealth Transfer, for those that are new to the program, we are here on Sky Angel, Uplift Television, YouTube. We've been on Christian television for years. And we've been trying to outline, there's a difference between macro and micro. And I tell you, I could almost write a book on this, which I just might if I could put my head on it. Because macro and micro is a big deal. Macro is the larger picture that will impact our micro life. And I say micro, in our household, in our home, our community, our jobs, more micro. In our city, our county, our state, our nation, more macro. Globally, far more macro. Now, these macro concepts impact us tremendously, folks. Some people that get involved in silver or tangible assets from time to time, they're in it for a year or two and then they get mad because it didn't move in price. They just don't understand the reasoning. Silver and tangible assets right now are not because of a get-rich-quick concept. It is a protection and preservation of what's getting ready to come. Because there's something not right in the global system. We've really hit a peak cycle of things, peak in oil, peak in economic drive, peak in so many facets of money printing, of debt issuance, that we contend, and we saw this for years now, it's been a handful of years, and I don't believe we're wrong. It's just taken a little more time, but who knows? It's an at any moment scenario. So why would you wait? Why wait until the market's down 30%? It's not about that. Get diversified, because we are going to have a tremendous windfall in this particular asset. Why wait? Because the macro is what we're here at Wealth Transfer to do, to teach you or to show you the macro data that the world is not showing you, really. Definitely not our finances, and for sure not your financial advisor. But the macro, if you can put it together from the big picture and bring it down to your life, your standard of living, your quality of life, how much more buying power do you think you're going to have? We just recently had a client come in. He was transferring over a main chunk of his IRA into physical silver. And he left a little bit aside to do a roof repair, for instance. People look at silver as money. Well, it is, but it's money in a vault versus currency paper in a bank. There's a big difference there. And then they use silver to buy and sell it when they need to do things like roof repairs. Buying now at these low prices, you're at such an advantage than buying somewhere in the middle or at a high price. So it's just a concept to look at, but it's the macro because it will impact your life. Your standard of living and your quality of life is going to be impacted when you see what's coming in this global reset. And I know I've heard people saying, you've been talking about this for years, nothing's happening. Doesn't matter. It should have happened in 2015. It didn't, but it's okay. The data hasn't changed. Take a look at this. Let's start now. I'm going to go into this data. We have a lot of it, so we'll roll it over for the next couple of weeks. But look at this. Start out, all sectors debt. Debt securities, loans, liability levels. Now, we see this a lot, don't we? We see it a lot, I know. But look from 1980 up, straight up, and see the hiccup in the red line. This brief period of slowing credit expansion nearly collapsed the global financial system. Think about it, and then look how it continues straight up again. That kind of debt is unsustainable. Now, I know we think it's okay, we get it, we'll figure it out. It's impossible to sustain, and everybody knows it. They're just juggling it around. It's like musical chairs, and eventually someone's going to sit and the chair's not there. And if you ever watch the old movie, well, I won't go there. That's a rabbit hole I won't get into. But you don't want to get caught short. That debt has a consequence. Now, for instance, with creating debt, they're scooping up the stock, these corporations. If you've noticed, going back all the way to 2000 on the left, look how much the corporations were buying stock. Not much at all, right? Since 2008 in the middle when there was not much buying, since then what happened? That's right. Black line to where now? Look at the red line on the right. 650 billion estimated in stock buybacks by corporations. The most we've seen in almost 20 years. Now, why is that? It's because corporations buy back stock in order to boost the stock price. Number one, they're getting cheap money. Definitely, they were getting cheap money since 2008 when interest rates were zero. They were able to borrow money at literally no interest, then turn around and buy stock back at their mercy. And the object of buying stock back, I know you may think, wow, they're doing so good that they're buying their own stock back. Things are going so well. Contrary to the truth. Remember, a lot of this is spiritual. And without going too deep, remember, Luciferian and the deceiver always represents something to be a truth when it's a falsehood, and then of course they accuse you of doing something that they really are doing, right? Hence like the whole left-wing media stuff, as they're accusing Trump of being the driver of this hate, when all he is a reactionary to the hate. Comes a time you got to stand. The Bible says when it's time to stand, you take a stand. And that's what you're seeing here. But it's all about presentation. We the people need to be aware that the truth is not what they're trying to present. So they buy back these stocks for that reason, to raise, well, let me go back here. I don't want to get lost on this. Let me go back. They buy back the stock, one more time, I just want to reiterate, to raise their stock prices to allow you, or to try to give you the perception that everything is going good. When really they're shrinking their float but adding debt, and they're propping up. Most of these companies, if you look at the earnings, are not doing what you think they are. Off-book accounting, sleight of hand accounting. IBM's been phenomenal. Alcoa's been phenomenal. They haven't made money in years, and yet they still show differently. It's about manipulation. So when you see 650 billion in record stock buybacks this year, that ought to tell you who's propping up the market and why. And you got to keep that in perspective. So for those that have cash on the bank, for those who have already gotten out of the market system to some extent and are looking to diversify, now is the time to diversify. At least take a third off the table and reposition it. Right now, tangible assets are an extreme value, especially that of silver. I highly recommend giving a call to Cornerstone. There's operators standing by. Register for information. It won't be too soon because it takes time for the process, but I encourage you to at least start the idea of understanding what a tangible asset does for your future, your buying power, and your standard of living. Here's a good place to get started.
Buying power. What does it mean to you and your family? Have you noticed the prices of everything we buy are rising? Goods and services are becoming more expensive, and the money you work so hard for buys less and less and less. If you saved $250,000 in cash in the 1960s, that cash today would be worth approximately the same, $250,000. Yet does it have the same buying power today? No, not even close. Now take that same $250,000 from the 60s saved in silver instead of cash. Today, it would be worth a staggering $4.25 million. Now that's buying power. Protect and preserve your buying power now by rolling over a portion of your IRA into a silver IRA. Use the power of constitutional money silver to protect your standard of living in retirement and maintain the quality of life you are hoping for. The paper dollar you are saving has tremendous challenges ahead, so don't delay. Call Cornerstone Asset Metals now at 888-747-3309. Don't give away your hard-earned savings any longer. Be diversified. Get protected today.
Welcome back. So we show you that there's $650 billion estimated in stock buybacks. Now, what this means, as we said, is that it's just corporations' way of keeping the stock prices afloat for the perception of we're not doing so well. Now, the stock market's off over 10% already for the year. I contend it's very reasonable, folks. We have a lot more. If we don't watch these lines we're at right now, it could be 40, 50%. And it's just too late at that point to diversify. For instance, stock markets. Now, stock market margin debt. We talked about this a lot. But stock market margin debt means I'm Mr. Smith. I have $50,000 in the stock market. My stockbroker allows me to borrow money to double down. So now I can put $100,000 into the stock market. But yes, I'm taking risk because I'm taking on debt, margin debt I don't have. But what will happen is if you don't sell in time, 10% is one thing, but when you get 30, 40% losses in the market and you're in margin, you could literally lose 100% of your portfolio. You can get wiped out. It's a very dangerous position to be in. Yet this chart shows market margin debt at the highest level we have ever seen, going all the way back into the 90s. Folks, right now today, we are over 600 plus billion in margin debt. That's we the people borrowing money to go into the stock market. And we're all sitting there in the market. As Goldman Sachs had said, all cash is in. Corporations are buying back stocks to raise the prices to keep us thinking it's okay. Our brokers are telling us 10%, 15%, don't sweat it. It's just a correction. It's possible, it could be. If it goes back up again, this could go back up 10, 15% in the stock market. But that's going to be a big fat dead cat bounce. I still contend we are seriously going to see something we have never seen before, only because the data says so. Globally, the $180 trillion in emerging market debts, and we're going to get into that. But when we're talking about debt and what it does, go, for instance, to here, additional debt per dollar of GDP growth. The reason this is important, when we started this dollar experiment that we're on right now, this thing, we would issue or print $1, and we were getting about $1.50 of debt. So we were printing $1, but it cost us $1.50 of debt to do so. So as the government prints $1, puts it to work, we had to pay back $1.50. Do you know today, when we issue $1 into the system, it costs us $4 in debt created. That's not sustainable. When we put $1 into the system, we create $4 of debt. Unsustainable. As a matter of fact, another way to look at it is this in the global sense of it. Additional debt per dollar created in the world is up to $5.40 globally. Now think about that. Every dollar the world has issued, and now this goes all the way back to the 2000s, but even more so now today than ever. Every dollar they printed in this world, we've $5.40 of debt. Unsustainable. 440% more than what is there legitimately. Think about that, folks, because even the dollars we're printing aren't legitimate. So keep in perspective, I know debt has always been an issue. We talk about it all the time. But debt is real. And we have exponentially exploded in the last 10 years. As we repeat all the time, 180 trillion now in new debt added to the world. Now, what's the smart money doing? Keep talking about this. The stock prices are being elevated. We, the people, are all in on margin debt. What's really going on with those who have the big money? That's right. Look at this smart money flow index. Now, this is smart money flow index year over year, and then the blue line is the Dow. The red line is a smart money flow. We haven't seen this level of exodus on smart money since the last recession. If you noticed in this chart, the red, the big drops, 2000, 2008, and right now. And the blue followed suit, which is the stock market. Folks, I can't make this chart up more than anything else. You just can't go there. Smart money at an astronomical rate is pulling out of this market. Now, people can say, well, that's just the 10, 15% correction. Okay, fine, it's possible. But I'm contending it's bigger, and they're repositioning. You're still in, because the indication is we, the people, are usually typically still in. That's what the numbers say. But what's the smart money doing? Here's the Bloomberg Smart Money Index, flow indicator. Now look at this going all the way back to 2010. The green is the Dow, the red is the Bloomberg Money Flow indicator, and the green in the Dow is still up. But what is the money flow indicator doing, says Bloomberg? Collapsing. Smart money and money flow is collapsing. This tells you what the smart money is doing. Keep it in perspective. Tomorrow's election, folks. This is huge. You're seeing right now a correction and recession on hand. That is nothing the president can do about that. But he is setting in place policies to allow victory to we the people. If we stop this drive economically right now, if we stop these policies from being instituted, if we crush the entrepreneurial spirit now, we are going to see catastrophic reset losses we will not be able to come back from. And I believe the president is getting us ready to be the victors out of this. So until next week, wait till you see the rest of this data. God bless you. Get prepared. Go give Cornerstone a call. We'll catch you next week.